Howdy. All right, let me make sure my levels are good. Crank this a little bit. All right, how's it going? I'm pretty fantastic. I'm a little tired. My back's a little sore, but that's because I went and played Warhammer today, and it was dope. I met up with some really cool cats from my local store. It's only about 20-25 minutes down the road. It was mind numbing trying to get all the dice rolls right and all that stuff, which I didn't think was going to be a big issue. I thought it was going to be the turn orders and when to do command point stratagem things, but I was totally wrong. It was mostly just rote dice rolling that took a lot of brain power to keep up with. But I did well. We played a four-way match. I guess it was sort of like old 8th edition kind of rules, but it was cool. We basically put together 500-point armies um, and played out. And I tied for first. I got tabled, but in turn 5. And I had made a couple reasonably wise moves that got me a lot of points. So it was cool. It was really awesome. Some highlights. I don't know if I'll actually put together like an actual battle report for this or not, but right out the gate, first guy going on turn 1, I had a squad that was 7. Was it actually 7? Yeah, maybe it was 5. 5 Plague Marines and a Biologist Putrefier. The guy turned the corner with some sort of Tyrant thing I'd never heard of and just like blew out all my Space Marines out of that squad. He was like, I'm sorry, it wasn't supposed to be that good. And I was like, dude, played the Blood Bowl video game before. I'm used to D6s getting everybody murdered. So anyway, I guess I will start painting while I yap. But I've decided this whole thing is going to get a coat of Mortarion Grime. I tried a little bit last night on it, and it gives it sort of a pale greenish hue to it. I am going to hit the wings with it as well. So this is going to be a pretty egregious pass on the whole thing. It may not be the most exciting stuff, but you'll see a lot of detail come up. There are spots on here that are unpainted, but they're all things that are either going to get a very dark metallic on them or some crazy bright coloration, like there's some goop slime there, and I don't want the wash. The wash can go underneath that, and then I can have those little spots go pop out. Still not sure if I'm going to use Tesseract Glow for those. I have used it throughout my army for a variety of things, and I do like it. Not sure if I'll like mix it with something else, a little yellow. I've always wondered what this would look like 50-50 with Nurgle's Rot, because that sounds gross. So I may do that. I will try that. I will 50-50 it with Nurgle's Rot. I don't think this thing is going to dry all that quickly. So I have another sort of treat lying around, which is I got an order of stuff from, what's it called? Deadly Print Studio. They're not a sponsor. No one shows up here. It's all good. Just a few little friends. But I got some toys, and I suppose I'll save those for later. But they're all firing effects, I think. I think that's what I ordered. I think this stuff came from Spain. But they're all things that could go on my Tyrant for like huge explosion coming out of the gun, stuff like that. And I've never worked with those types of bits. And I think most people that do probably airbrush them. I don't know. They're just resin printouts of cool shapes. But I figure, especially because I got magnets too, that I could just magnet some of those on there, and then like when I feel like having them on, boop. You'll notice all my stuff's in trays. They're all magnetic now. So I take them on the road. I actually just pulled those trays back out of my carrying case. Carrying case worked well. Everything's still intact. So, massive brush. Because we mean business this time. And away we go. This whole thing, all over, is getting Mortarion Grime. And I can lay it on there pretty heavy and then just move it around. I don't need a ton of it to rest all over the place, but because we're doing big work here, might as well use a big brush. And I can just keep smoothing it through. This will give it a nice, thoroughly sickly pallor all the way throughout, and it'll also get into all these little divots and ruts and pock marks. And I think, I mean, I like it already. It's not super dark like Agrax, so it's not gonna like massively mess with the coloration on it, and it is doing its job right out the gate. Good job, Mortarion Grime. And it's sort of a personal point of pride for me to use paints named after characters whenever possible. I'm just dabbing this in here so it doesn't get too gloppy. Floppy jalopy. Just in a couple little spots. But as you can see, it's darkened it up a little bit. It's given it more of that green pallor. And it's hugging the sides of all of these little ridges from those veins and things like that. So I had dry brushed around the edge to make it greener before, and I had used Nurgling Green. And now this wash is just getting in there and making sure I get all those lines back. So I'm basically just going to be trading pieces out and then flipping them over and then trading them out and flipping them over. But it's funny because I never found a really good use for Mortarion Grime before. Seraphim Sepia is also a very light wash. And I use that religiously, thoroughly religiously. But I have tried, every time I've tried to use Mortarion Grime, it was on, I think, basically just too dark a color for it to really make a difference. And where it shines thoroughly is on this light stuff. So it's taking everything, giving it this sort of swampy, sickly, it's embellishing the green that's down here, which is pretty bright, or pretty light, not bright. It's getting all into those holes, all those crevices, and makes it look pretty gnarly. And it's actually pretty good on all this stuff up here, because this was just, I think, Basilicum. Was it Basilicum Gray? I don't even remember. Thankfully, I've got videos to go back and watch later. But yeah, it's like grimy pond water that sat around. It's like if it rains a lot and you've got like a potted plant out, or no, like a dish out on the porch, that just sits there with water in it for a while and then eventually gets murky, but not black. That's what Mortarion Grime is. It's pretty nice stuff. And so last night I gave it a try on a couple little spots of armor, and I really liked it. And I had to sort of decide overnight whether or not I was just going to hit the whole thing with it. Well, the decision's been made. And my hope is also that that little bit of hue that it adds, and I really don't have to go nuts on this blade, but I'm gonna. That's gonna get corrosion, typhus corrosion, all over it. But just for consistency, I'll hit the whole thing. I want this underneath it because I'm not going to go too crazy with the corrosion, because the scythe blade itself is pretty rad. So I'm probably going to leave it shinier than almost any of the other weapons in my Death Guard army. But it'll work good on this bone stuff. It'll be nice there. Just get all in there. There'll probably be some Seraphim Sepia that happens as well at some point. But the real twist was getting it. I actually tried a little bit on that piece of cloth because I figured it being covered, a little shadowy, I could risk it. And I didn't mind how it looked. So actually the whole cloak is also going to get it. Basically, I just hit the light parts of armor, so I don't really need to hit them again today. I might hit these guys again, but the whole cloak's going to get it, shoulders, everything. Probably won't go too high up on the bone up here. Just a little bit. I like sort of having bone get a little bit lighter as you go up. I'm going to hit a little bit of that stuff. Now it's just coat them. stuff again. That stuff was light enough that it could stand to have a second run. There we go. All in there. I'm going to try to be somewhat methodical a little bit. But yeah, he's getting a wash. And the fact that it's going to work on the cloak, that's already proven, that's good stuff. People in my house are slamming doors. Hopefully not everyone in the world can hear that. All right. Mortarion Grime for the win. And I am going to be mindful of just how much it pulls up. So I'm going to do like a small section, relatively speaking. I'm obviously working fast. I'll do a small section and then have a look at it, grab a Q-tip, just sort of like dab it in spots where it looks like it's a little heavy-handed. And then I'll move forward. So I got both of those bold things. Yeah, so right here, I'll just give it a little touch. You don't need to wipe it out. I don't want a lot of pooling. I want a little pooling. Not much. So just a couple little taps here and there. You keep it from overrunning everything. There we go. Now we proceed. I think next, if I hold him from up here, I can hit the whole cloak without having to move my hands on it. And that's a pretty hefty amount of griming up. So I think I'll do it that way. I'm going to start with his head. And as you can see, the grime lets all that color through. You hit your little face too, buddy. Mortarion's face with Mortarion Grime. And it's very, very vertical, so I shouldn't get too much pulling in it. I was a little afraid it might be too dark. If you agrax this thing, you lose the color. You lose a lot of it at least. But with this stuff, it just makes it look like the laundry's kind of dirty. Doesn't make it look like, some 16-wheeler drove by and splashed you while you're sitting waiting for the bus. So I can go on pretty heavy. Once again, though, as I get through a section of it, I'm going to go back with that Q-tip. Let me get the inside while I'm here, too. Go back with that Q-tip, and anything that's super pooled, I'll take care of. This is really going to add a decent amount. It's scary. That's why I tested it first on a small spot. It is, let's see if I can make this more visible back there. The people in the cheap seats. I did test it out last night, just on that little piece. Nothing went horribly wrong. Just a few little taps here where it's crazy. And there's some pretty deep crevices in here. But it actually works with both colors. It makes the blue a little less happy. Makes everything a little less happy. But you can still see that purple's coming through just fine. Alright. A couple little dabs over here. For the most part, it's just working its way where it needs to go, and it's actually absolutely fine if it pulls up a lot on the bottom. That's going to be part of the base. You're going to see it very well. It's all the way down, so it's I'm not going to say it's a shadow effect because that's a little haughty, but darker on the bottom. You want the eye to be led up the model anyway, so still got to figure out what I'm going to do with this base. But yeah, this is very terrifying to me. Thank God I tested it, but washing this whole thing in grime, how much of a pain in the keister. No, it's not a hard model to paint, it's just scary the whole time. Given the fact that this is like one of the few times I've used contrast paint at all, and the fact that it's just scary to paint. There's a lot of stuff going on. All right, so take a look at that. Maybe a tiny touch there. You don't need to jam the Q-tip in. It just needs to make contact, and then the wash will start flying into it. Like, I'm going to have to trade this Q-tip out soon, because you can see I'm just touching it in spots and it goes right up. I don't know if that's turgor pressure or just, it's got to just be osmosis, right? Grab another I have some makeup pads as well that I could use. Keep turning this dude over. This whole big section, I'm hoping by the time I'm done with this guy, probably not. That stuff still not dry. Yeah, that's fine. That stuff's good there. I don't want to finagle with it too much. While this guy dries, maybe I can get to the wings. If I can't, then I will start unboxing some of the stuff that I ordered. For explosion effects, obviously this is going pretty quickly. I'm not sure I'll be able to do much more of them until he dries at least a little bit. Get inside. But I'm pleased with the color scheme. I wanted to do him light, and he is certainly light. My whole army is pretty dark, but they do hearken to that sort of Horus Heresy era coloration on some of their armor. I mean, you can see even down to that dude. I split colors on him. And most of my plate marines have that sort of knees, pauldrons, chest piece done dark green style, but shins and arms and stuff done lighter. And I like it. I like how it works out. So even my Knight Tyrant is a mixture of those. I wanted Mortarion to stand out. Nice and bright. Not bright, but light colored. I got enough green in my army right now. All right, that's a little thick there. Move that around a little. A couple dabs. You don't want to swipe with the Q-tip because if this stuff is starting to thicken, you just want to pull the bits that are loose. You don't want to like draw a line through it, because I've absolutely done that on some of my tiny guys where you're like, hey, I'm going to pick some of this up with a Q-tip, and then you run the Q-tip across it, and it dries with a cleared out line. If it starts getting thick because it's drying a little bit, when you tap, you'll just pull the surface stuff that's lighter. I think I'm probably going to need to hit that thing again. Boop. But he's got a lot more detail going on now. That wash. And I got a little bit to hit underneath. Smooth that around. Get all up in there. Tip of this thing. So awkward. But he's really cool. Like, I like him. I think I can grab him by this foot safely. Yep. Now I'm definitely running out. I'm going to hit this thing, and then I will set him down and crack open some other fun stuff. Weird shoulder bits. So I am getting close, but there still metallics to do in various spots. Which obviously I'm going dark metallic, so I'm not too worried about griming underneath him. Yeah, he is. Just a couple taps. Nothing crazy. Alrighty. He is grimy. Make sure, because I always forget this one little swoop here. And the inside of the swoop. Twist my arm around. And I'll just pull a little of that up. There we go. Alright. He can, I think, successfully sit on his back. Don't need to prop him up too much. Is this dry enough to handle? If I was to handle it like that. I'm going to give that a few minutes. Give that just a few minutes. I will open some stuff up that I got in the mail, because that's fun. And I don't need to rush, because it's a weekend night, and I don't have to rush off to bed at any point. More hot tea. Good stuff. So yeah, I got this stuff from Deadly Print Studio. It's shipped from Spain. So let's see what we got. Oh, good. Painfully hot. Bubble wrap can go away. Thankful that they do a good job packaging stuff. Chuck that behind me. The box I will set aside because the stuff's probably going back in there. Oh, that's right. I ordered more crap than I thought. I saw someone on Instagram. I should probably look it up so I cite the person correctly. Yeah, her name's Alessandra Plays 40K. And she had a bunch of these awesome fire effects. She does really cool stuff. She does like all female ultramarines. They look awesome. She's working on some jump pack ones. That's terrible with the lighting. But anyway, she does some really cool stuff. And she had some of these fire effects sticking out of, I think, her tanks. And it just looked really cool. And I was like, oh, where'd you get those? She's like, oh, I get all this stuff from these guys. Yeah, let's do this. So, let us see here. So it's all clear resin. I'm not sure exactly how to do it, but I think these guys fit in here. These guns would have these things flying off of them. Either that or the guns. Maybe it's both. I think these are for these guys. So basically just file these down a little bit and then paint these up like white, yellow, red, and then some black in there to make it smoky. Either that or it's those. I don't know. I know I got several of them. So these are like interesting blasty, fiery effects. Could also use it for like a malignant plate caster kind of guy. So those are neat. And then some of the big boy ones that I got are... My desk is getting smaller every night as I do a bunch of stuff and then fail to clean it. I've been rushed. All right. So these are, that guy's huge. These things, it's so funny. I get excited. I see stuff like this and then I just order it and then I'm like, exactly where does that go again? Oh, magnetics. Ooh, if I'm smart about these guys, I can put them on with magnets. Magnets, how do they work? I got these two Megazord guns. No idea what this goes to, but it looks dope. I think I might have been curious if I could use it on this thing. I might have to shave it down a little bit because it hangs off the side. Maybe I had a better idea for this. I don't remember. Oh, no. No. I know what that's for. And I think I accidentally maybe only ordered one of them. Shit. Pardon my French. All right, I gotta order a second one of these guys. These things, now I remember, perfect fit. These come out of those smokestacks. So those will be on there permanently. I just have like smoke coming out the back of this thing. It looks sick. Hot rod, ready to rock. It'd probably go up like that. But yeah, all little bits match up. All right. So I do need to order a second one of these guys. Those will be cool. And that'll just be like white into smoke. Maybe a little bit of light effect coming off of it. But these two guys, I think, are for, I don't know which one's which, but these will go pow. And so this one will obviously do like yellow plasma sort of thing. Actually, that's probably plasma. I don't know. I'll go back online and check it out. But they're neat, and they shipped relatively well. I mean, it's resin, so it's bendy. So I'll have to get a little bit, not too much back into shape. But these things will become neat gun effects. You can't go wrong with half rotted out bodies. Things that got zorched, so a bit off of that. So I'll use these for basing. I don't think I'll put either of these on Mortarion, but I could imagine pondering putting a little crawly guy, try to do this, coming out from underneath the tank. I think that would be fun. Yeah. What's up, Chaos? So these are just fun little, fun little dead dudes. I mean, and they absolutely like, Space Marine ish lower bodies, but the total top half rotted off. At the very least, I can have one or two of these guys like crawling away on the base of my Tyrant. So that's cool. So yeah, I've got some neat fire effects. I've got this smokestack thing, some plasma. I think that's plasma or melta. I don't even remember what these guns are. There's so many guns, and my head is just absolutely swamped with weapon profiles from playing my first game today. Yeah. But anyhow, that stuff will be cool. And then I'll slap these guys back on. Boop. Boop. Got from magnets, and then a bunch. And I got to get some smaller ones. I think I ordered all big stuff. But these are all shell casings. All little shell casings that I can use on bases. Obviously, the shell casings are a tad bit large for Space Marine. I mean, they're like shell casings. I got to see if I can, I should just make some tiny bullet cases. But I just figured those would be fun to sprinkle about on bases. So I've got toys to play with. I do have to do some research exactly how to paint those clear guys the right way. You might just wash them, like wash the daylights out of them, so that you still get some translucence on it. I don't know. I don't care. As far as these go, obviously these guys will just brass up like crazy. But yeah, more toys, and I like to support people that are just out there doing really cool stuff. Like there's some guy, I think he's in England, Great Britain, UK, and he makes shoulder hinge bits for knights, which they only give you 2 shoulder hinge bits with the model, but if you had more of them, you could make all their weapons hot swappable with magnets. The same way I could just yoink those 2 off the model. I still have the harpoon and the other thingamajiggy that he can hold, and now because I have those shoulder bits that I bought them, that plan's good to go. All right, so all that hot air and checking stuff out, these look, feel dry enough to hit the other sides of them, so I'm going to do that now. Yeah, it was a fun game too. I mean, we were playing a 4-way, which was a really good intro. There's 2 guys at this shop that show up every Saturday, and they're just there to like casual to play with new people, and they're just really comfortable with telling you the same thing that they told you last turn over and over and over again because you never remember it. Really fun guys. A 4th dude showed up. When I showed up, the 2 dudes that are like, yeah, we tried, like, they show up when the store opens and they try to get a quick game in. And they were actually, they were playing with like all proxies. They're playing an Age of Sigmar game, and everything on the board was a proxy, and some of their stuff was just bases. But they're really awesome, like really fun to play with. And then a 4th dude showed up right when they were finishing their game, and they're like, yeah, we'll go do a 4-way. And the fourth guy was kind of new. He'd played a bit. He definitely was speaking the language, and like he wasn't struggling with his turns like I was. But yeah, like 5 of my Plague Marines got smoked the moment they stuck their head out, which is like a fine welcome. But the whatchamacallit, the Biologus Putrefier that was leading them wasn't having any of that. He turned the corner, and I was like, this guy's not going to live long enough. Anyway, he's got his grenade stratagems, so just ran in with that. And he's got a pretty good grenade just for regular usage. So he gave his attackers what for. And it was cool. My Plague Burst Crawler, I sort of popped out, and so the guy in front of me like nuked my first squad, and he was like, "I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to." I was, dude, it's dice. It's all good. It's like I didn't think it was gonna kill everyone. And the dude to my left had a lot of Chaos Space Marine stuff going. Decent amount of infantry. And so I snuck my Plague Burst Crawler out, sort of ran at him, and I did get him battle shocked when I had gotten into, I think it was range 12. I had to do like a long charge of the thing, but it's got 10 move, which is like a lot for my army. It's a crazy amount for a Death Guard army. It's a vehicle. So I got into range, and my Plague Burst Crawler isn't spec'd out like you're supposed to. I took the spurt guns, the like flamers on the side, and I took the Rot Hail volley gun on the front. But both of those are pretty good for infantry. And I had told him that ahead of time, but I don't think he realized how effective it was going to be if I got close to him. And I hit a pretty solid. It wasn't a charge; it was an advance, I think, is what it is. On my first turn, which didn't get me in range yet, so I just mortared him. But then the next turn, I got close enough, and I just went in and shredded a bunch of dudes, and that felt awesome. And then my other unit was Typhus with 20 Poxwalkers, and I had him hiding for that first. After my first dude went out there, got nuked. I was like, ugh. But Typhus with 20 Poxwalkers, it's like literally anytime you kill a model, you're just adding Poxwalkers back. And I got him to the middle of the table. Basically, it was like everybody had a objective marker in their own space that was worth 1 per turn. The one in the middle was worth 2. I got into the middle. And that got me enough points. So by the end of the game, I had no one on the table. But Typhus and crew were hanging tough. And I did Typhus's psychic thing. If you roll a 1 on it, he takes like a D3, and I took 3 on him. But I managed to heal those back at one point. So I was in pretty good shape. But it was fun. It was crazy fun. But going, even with a small number of models, it was pretty hard for me to keep track of like all the die rolls. And all these other guys just had them like they were looking some stuff up. But they were also like playing stuff they weren't used to playing. I got a little practice and homework to do. I may just sit in front of this table and just send units at each other over and over again. This guy's still damp. If a model you painted dies, do you destroy and repaint? No, my friend. Sadly, no. I don't think anyone plays for true true high stakes like that. But yeah, it was a heck of a lot of fun. But mind numbing. Just so many die rolls to keep track of. It was good. I wonder if I should glue this guy together. Is that crazy? Is that too crazy? Because there's not a whole heck of a lot I could do tonight. Damp? Certainly not dry. I may have proverbially painted myself into a corner, but I'll just keep going. It would have been way higher stakes for me because I was the only person with like fully painted models. Like everyone else is like straight up mostly there for play. Almost all their stuff was proxied. There's like a half-built tank running around. It's funny because people walked up to our table and they're like, "Oh, like is this your first time coming to the store?" I was like, "Well, I came in Tuesday. But this is my first game." And they're like, "I'm not sure I believe you with all your models being painted." I was like, "Painted them first, and then I learned to play after it." So there's a couple little funny moments. But yeah, all my stuff did well. It was crazy fun, and all of your stuff gets murdered. I tied for first, Shroom. It was a 4-person game, and I tied for first, which is good because man, early on I was like, "Woof, you guys just units just died. They just get wiped super fast," and I love it. It's very brutal. It's a very brutal game. All right. Do I dare? Oh, that's still wet. I was going to say maybe I could squeak away. It's so neat that branch goes like behind his arm. I mean, I could glue that on. Am I rushing things? It does look pretty dope. Kind handling? No, I can't. That is still damp. All right. So I may have painted myself into a corner. I'm not sure. Yeah, I actually said this. They were like, yeah, we don't really paint our models much. It's one of the things I love about this game is that anywhere on the spectrum is just cool. Like it brings people that are just total, crazed rule nerds and are just like down to like shave the points down to the bone. And then people like me that are like, oh, I painted everything and then I'm learning to play. And everywhere in between. And I think it's really cool because you're playing with drastically different people that are loving different parts about the game. But I think it's awesome. Like I mean, I felt a little weird that I was the only person that painted their shit, but I didn't think that they were like, they're playing a board game, having a good time. Um, and I do like that about it. Like it draws a very, very different crowd, um, different types of people, which is neat. It's pretty neat. I don't know. Maybe I could glue some of these guys together. I don't even know. I have some things I should do. Some spare bits. All right. Call an audible. I'm going to. I think my paint's going to be wet for quite some time. I'm going to paint some nerdlings. I don't know, man. I don't know if painting is like people that paint love it and share a bunch of stuff and it's very visual, so it gets a lot of essentially airplay on the internet. There's all these videos of these beautifully painted models, but I mean, if you look at like site traffic of like something like Wahapedia, where there's no visuals to it and it's all just rule stuff, they're still crazy. Like one of my favorite YouTubers is this guy Auspex Tactics, who's just like relatively monotone but funny British dude who's just talking rules and rules and rules. There's another guy, General Giannis, who's all about Death Guard stuff, and he's just pulling out spreadsheets. Like places pull mad traffic, and today, like no one I was playing with. I mean, some of them was like kind of painted, but like that wasn't why they were there. They were there to just like play the actual game. So it's interesting. I mean, I think the painting is really cool. I think the game playing is really cool. But obviously, like, I've been painting for months. Grab another paint here. Speaking of which, this whole thing has been painting until today. Until today. Well, and lore. I shouldn't say just painting. Alrighty. I need. I'd already have it over there. I need to find my Bugman's Glow. Bugman. There you are. Natural color of all things. Nerdling. Yeah. But I mean, we were just playing a casual game. So if you play like in a legit tournament, in a lot of cases, if you're playing in like a sanctioned tournament, there's like 10 points for having your models up to spec in terms of being painted. And 10 points is a lot. Like you can win a game by that. The fact that this was like sort of give it a pass. I mean, I give it a pass because I don't care. But like at the same time, this was like a beginners show up and do whatever. And so like if they need to play a specific army, it doesn't require that they own it. I think it's fine. I mean, I think they mainly just bring like fiddly bits to play with because randos are going to show up and they probably want to pick an army that's like not going to accidentally slaughter you your first time out. But no, I mean, obviously I love the painting part of it. That's a decent chunk of why I got started. But man, oh man, did I have fun rolling dice. All right, so we're just gonna fill in some time painting some nurglings here. I don't think I really want to. Well, I don't really want to mess with those VFX yet. I could mess with those skeletons, but I'd need to prime them first. Actually, put this on my palette. Rules are you can snap your opponent's models in half if they are painted. Yeah, I was just super nice this week. Next week I'm gonna start. I'm gonna play like I'm actually worshiping corn. It was a little funny though, because the sort of verbal meta at the table of these three guys that had played a bunch together before. You know, two of them a lot, and then the third guy had been in there a few times. Is that like battle shock wasn't really an important rule, and I forced a lot of battle shock rolls, a lot of them. Like I think every single time I played Burst Crawler, fired. Um, no, one time it did. No, no, it was every time because it was gone by that turn. I was trying to count them in my head. Every single time I hit something, they failed a battle shock test. And they're like, yeah, but it's on your turn. I was like, yeah, you fire with it first. Shoot that thing first. Freak everyone out. No command points for you, my friend. These nurglings are just for fun. Yeah, I personally like I have to like be somewhat respectful because like I'm an old man and I can afford this stuff. Like I'm not all the guys I was playing with today are like early 20s. Um like I have to keep in mind also that like I can like if I want a model I can buy it. No problem. I can't buy every model all the time, but like at the speed that I paint, I could always just buy another model or like buy combat patrol and be painting for like a month or two. And like if you're in college or you're just in your 20s trying to get by, that's kind of a big ask. Like I'm nearly certain that these guys just do this for I think the store is just paying them in like store credit, which is awesome because it allows them to get more models. Um, but I don't think these guys are they're not getting rich. Definitely not. And I remember being that age. In fact, it's part of the reason I didn't play Warhammer when I was younger. It was like I don't think I can afford that. I was playing enough Magic, and then I quit that because it was eating up too much of my money. I was like, Warhammer's even worse. So I'm trying to respect that part of it. But there's plenty of people that like go to tournaments. They just buy painted models, which I think is to me also absolutely fine. Like if you just want to play the game, go on Etsy and find someone who's painted a bunch of dope stuff and rock it. So it is true. Um, Fun new models all the time. Sort of keep you and your opponent guessing. Um, but yeah, these guys were awesome though. Man, they were so gracious. Like they had to I say put up with. They didn't care. They were those kind of people that just love to teach and love to roll dice and just love to watch units get wiped off the field. Like there is a ridiculousness, like a gallows humor that comes with 40k because everyone's just getting murked. Um, but like some of the rules just did not sink in for me, or at least some of the like knowing your own troops well enough. Like I had to do the paper shuffle thing every single time I did anything with any of my guys, and they were just totally fine with it. They're like, yeah, whatever, dude, take your time. They reminded me of all kinds of stuff that I was forgetting, which is good because continuously people struggle with like I have cool rules and I forgot to say thing, so my cool rules don't matter. All right, this guy can sit. How is he going to sit? Yeah, he can sit on his bum. That's good. But after turn one, I was like, yeah, I'm hooked. This game is awesome. And I am totally immune to getting cranky just because my units die. Absolutely, I just love it when anyone rolls big. Like being at the casino. Like seeing my Plague Marines get absolutely just lit on fire by one guy who turned the corner. Like it instantly, even though it was a four-way match, it was like instantly made a rivalry, and I thought that was really cool. Like, oh, I might have to get that guy. Yeah, it was interesting because I definitely found myself forcing them into play that they weren't used to. And some of it is just local meta. Like you play in a store with the same, maybe there's the same 8 people that ever come around. And you get used to how they play. Not even just local rules, like just, this person has this army and they play it this way. And I was using stratagems a little differently than most people I think they normally play with did. And so I was getting a little bit of that, like, that new guy thing just because I don't know any better and I'm a different person. Like I was just relentless with Typhus, and they're like, he's only got 3 wounds left. Like, screw up again, you're gonna lose him. And I was like, no, I'm gonna heal him next turn. They're like, you gonna heal him? I was like, yeah. Don't you guys use the Death Guard heal on anyone? Like, not really. Like, yeah, it just lets me keep shooting with him and lets me roll terribly and keep on trucking. It was a hoot. So I think I'm only gonna very gently turn this guy over. I think I'm only gonna paint a couple of these guys. I need to prime the last 2 sprues of Mortarion where all of his extra bits are. I need to prime those. Hopefully tomorrow it's not rainy and I can get out there and just blast through them. Because he's at the point where, yeah, there's plenty of details to do on him, but not that many. Most of what I get to do is just the smaller parts that still fit on him. Those are just going to get glued on and painted. I think I'm pretty close to done with him being sub-assembled. I would glue him together tonight if he wasn't damp with that wash. So I think I'm going to probably just paint this one little dude and then call it. Hopefully plan tomorrow or the day after to really get in there and finish him up. Because I can only stall so much. But I can still see the reflection of that wash. And one of the things I do is I tend to be a little overzealous with how quickly I paint things. Not that I'm speed painting, but I often don't let stuff dry enough. Yeah, those guys are fine. Stash these guys here. Brush a little wash. Good stuff. So anyway, I don't know. I have some pictures. I'll post them somewhere. I got a Discord. If anyone's morbidly curious, link. Boing. I think that's an invite. I don't know. We'll see. But we post pictures over there and stuff like that. There's only like 3 or 4 people that are in that, but every once in a while I throw this out there. If I share any pictures of this battle, I'll post them up there. But I think I'm gonna call it a night because this thing's gonna be too damn to glue together. I think next time I'll get the stuff primed. It looks like it's actually a lot of extra crap, which is good. But these sprues have lots of chains and such all over them. There's stuff for the base. We'll get those things together, get them primed, and next time, most likely, it'll at least be all together. And then any extra fun parts, yeah, those wings on the side do look dope. That was scary. That took like 3 or 4 days of work trying different things, but they are dope. Yeah, he should be done, I think, by the end of the week. I'm going to spend a lot of time on his base, but I think next time he'll get glued together, base, and then the extra parts will go on him. And then hopefully he sticks together, and it'll be an awesome part of my army. Thanks a bunch for hanging out. This was a short one, but it's been a long day, and he needed a full wash in his grime. So I will check y'all another time. Be good. Have a good night. Bye-bye.